The government subsidy for higher education expenditure are considerable. Calculated based on the total education expenditure, they were 19.29% in 2019, 16.76% in 2020, 16.37% in 2021, and 16.92% in 2022. This is to ensure students receive support while studying at university. Students pay around 4,200 ringgit Malaysia to 5,000 ringgit Malaysia per semester depending on the course they pursue. Students spend around 300 ringgit Malaysia to 800 ringgit Malaysia per month, depending on the type of on-campus accommodation and facility. Students also spend about 300 ringgit Malaysia to 600 ringgit Malaysia on food every month. Besides that, students spend around 50 ringgit to 150 ringgit per month on transportation, whether by sapu or on their own vehicle. Students spend around 100 ringgit Malaysia to 300 ringgit Malaysia per semester on the book and supply. While also spend around 100 ringgit Malaysia to 300 ringgit Malaysia per month for other expenses such as internet data, utilities, personal care items, and leisure activities.
University Utara Malaysia also offers scholarships such as the UUM Vice Chancellor Scholarship, Yayasan UUM Scholarship for academically outstanding students with financial need, and UUM Sport Excellence Scholarship to support talented athletes. In addition to this, the Malaysian government also supports students to pursue higher education through PTPTN study loan to cover tuition, fees and living expenses, GPA scholarship for outstanding students, and MARA scholarship benefiting Bumiputra students. The government also provides support through Peranti Siswa, technical support for students, and Ibilia and Imadani to help with student living costs. That's all.
My name is Ramana Jiafiati and I'm from Indonesia. I'm from Bachelor of Science Information Technology.
My name is Amirul Hafizi bin Fazli. I'm the first semester student and currently enrolled in Bachelor of Human Resource Management with honors in BEEB.
Hi, my name is Siti Asma bint Abdurrahman. I'm in semester 3 and I'm from Bachelor of Business Administration Golf Management.
Okay, for the first question, how do rising education costs directly affect your daily living expenses on campus?
I think from the rising education costs, rising education expenses, I think I might have to reduce my monthly expenses to be able to afford to actually pay for my education. But since I'm from Indonesia and I am financially stable,
So for now, I have to cut off some of my unnecessary expenses and I have to make detailed budgeting from the allowance allocated by my father.
And how do you manage expenses related to your academic materials or textbooks? And have you ever experienced any difficulties on accessing these resources due to your financial limitations?
okay, so for SLC, School of Computing, they don't actually need books sometimes, so we aren't actually required to buy books. But sometimes there are certain technologies that we actually need to be able to do our course or our assignments, such as laptops. Usually, I manage my expenses by reducing. I usually heavily spend on food, so I would reduce my spending on food on unnecessary things, and I would save up my money to be able to buy the technology that I would need to do my assignment for my courses.
Normally, my father will allocate around 300 ringgit monthly, and I have the independence to spend on my own. but usually I'll use roughly around 50 ringgit per month for printing and using ink cost, something like that. And regarding difficulties, yeah, slightly I have some of the difficulties as because some of the unplanned things that happen, I have to allocate more money on that. So to balance my expense allocation, so I have to cut off some of my food and beverage expenses.
Do you work part-time to cover educational or living expenses? And how does this impact your studies and well-being?
No, I don't do any part-time as it may affect my studies.
Yes, I do work part-time to manage my expenses. However, balancing work alongside studies has its challenge. Well, it helps to cover some costs, but it also limits the time I can allocate to study or participate in extracurricular activities. There is a constant juggling act between working hours, coursework, and personal time. I barely have any personal time if I go to work, so it can be stressful at times, affecting my focus on studies and causing fatigue. But it's necessary to manage the financial aspect of being a student in college or university.
So, do you have utilized any financial aid or support systems that offered by UUM?
Yes. Currently, I am shortlisted for Bantuan Sulung 2.0 under UUM, which will cover all of the education fees monthly for each semester until my final semester.
Since I'm an international student from Indonesia, the UM does not offer any financial aid for us international students, so I have not received anything. But I believe that these financial aids are very, very helpful for students who are in need of it.
I have accessed some of the financial aid options by the government, which is getting a loan from PTPTN to cover my academic and living expenses on campus. It has helped to ease the burden to some extent.
Do you have something that you heavily spend on usually? For example, do you spend heavily on book or do you spend heavily on the other stuff?
Oh, for the things that I usually heavily spend on, I usually heavily spend on food because I'd like to try out the food here, and I usually do not limit myself. For example, I saw people limiting themselves to 10 ringgit per day, 10 ringgit per day, but for me, no. When I'm hungry, I will eat. When I'm not hungry, then I will not eat. But I would like to try the food here. And other than that, I usually heavily spend on my monthly internet. Just like other students, we need monthly internet to do our assignments sometimes when the Wi-Fi goes out or when an emergency happens outside of UUM. We might need that internet.
Well, in managing my budgets, I found that I tend to allocate a slightly larger portion towards academic materials compared to food expenses.
How do you prioritize between these two aspects of your spending as a student at UUM?
For me, investing in necessary textbooks, study resources, and technology needs for my courses is crucial. I try to find cost-effective options for academic materials like buying used books or sharing resources with friends, especially PDF kind of resources, and to make the most of my budgets. However, I also pay close attention to food expenses, aiming to strike a balance between nutritious meals and budget-friendly options to ensure I'm taking off both my academic needs and daily sustenances.
So, in your opinion, what improvements or additional support do you think that will significantly benefit students facing financial challenges due to education costs?
For now, I'll suggest the welfare body of the university to reduce some of the food and beverage costs, or maybe giving additional discounts for students who have financial problems, and maybe start to make some initiative like giving food banks and make necessary surveys to see current state of the students in UM. There how many of them that have financial problems and how many don't.